The tape obviously was a really good division win at home. Defensively, I thought we played well. Did some, we had a return special teams. Dalvin had a big run. We got a lot of good things going. So we got to keep it up and keep pushing and see where this all takes us.
Mike, do you have certain things that you're going to focus on during the bye when you are plugged into what's going on here? I guess, what are some of the things you want to see improved?
Well, just some of the things we're not really very good statistically at. Just certain areas.
Is that one of the better games you'd seen from Tom Johnson in the 4.5 years he's been here?
Tom's had some good games in the past, but he played well yesterday, yeah.
With 3 of the last 7 games coming outdoors, what do you want to emphasize in the run game coming out of the bye?
That's a good question because I usually look at one game at a time, not 7. But I mean, we just have to continue to be effective running the football, and I do think with some of these games, as it starts to get colder, it's going to be more of a factor. So I think we're getting better in a lot of the areas in the running game. We got to continue searching for more ways to pound the ball. We got to look for ways when we get down inside the 15-yard line in order to run the ball. It's just harder to throw the ball in there. So we have, in order for us to get better and the red zone touchdowns, we have to run the ball better in there.
Even with as good as Latavius was with Dalvin out, does Dalvin's run show a little bit more of what he brings that some others can't with his ability to break things open?
Yeah, and actually there was one other run that I thought he was going to pop that he just kind of got tripped on. But yeah, he's got a chance to hit home runs, and I think it was really good for him to get out there and get some game time action. When you haven't played in 6 weeks and you haven't practiced all that much, I think he'll continue to get better, see some of the cuts a little bit better as it gets going.
Mike, what does that do for his confidence too when he's able to open it up and kind of get top gear and test the hamstring out of that long run?
Yeah, Dalvin's a pretty confident guy, but I do think him being able to go through there and come in today and feeling great, I think that's all good for going forward.
The red zone sacks that you had, obviously a big part. Are they harder to get red zone sacks, or did you guys just really aggressive at that?
Sacks are hard to get anyway. I mean, a guy who leads the league in sacks is somewhere 15, 16 that's won a game if he's lucky. So typically, a lot of teams get a lot more no backs, or they get five guys out in the route. So there's typically a little less protection down there. But those are big when you can get sacks in the red zone is big.
Among the 10, how many would you say were due to good coverage, and how many was just the line getting after it?
It's probably 50-50. A lot of them was really good coverage. We got him to hold the ball a few times, which was good. And then there were some other times we just beat people. We had the game with Tom and Sheldon. That one was a good one. I'm trying to think. I think Donnell had a good one. He beat the guy quick. But most of them, it always usually goes hand in hand. I think, but we made him pull the ball down a few times.
Does having 8 of 10 sacks coming on a pass rush of 4 or fewer guys say more about the defensive linemen themselves, or is that, would you say, 50-50 split between that and scheme?
I think it's both. They had an offensive lineman that went out during the game, so that helps. I think we made him pull the ball down some in coverage. It all goes hand in hand. If you can do it with 4 guys, that's pretty good. But that means they're holding the ball and recovering in the back end.
Like some of the other D linemen that have played for other teams and come back here, say the difference is that Coach Drake keeps coaching, that they go to other teams and they just let them kind of do their own thing, but he's still coaching techniques. And then the guys like Everson are coaching the younger guys. And he said that's different from our league. Is that something that you guys preach, or just something that's morphed?
Well, that's what we try to do. I've heard that before. it's just not how we do it, you know, it's, we stay on them to continue to work on their technique, rush angles, hand placement, I mean, all kinds of things, and so, but Andre does a great job, and the veteran guys do a great job as far as helping out the younger guys. You know, Stephen Weatherly's come a long way in a short amount of time, really. You know, I mean, a year ago, I wouldn't guess that he'd be playing this much or doing the things he's doing, and you know, we had a nice rush. He sacked Stafford one time. He had a couple of nice rushes where he hit the quarterback right after he threw it. So, but you know, there was things that he was doing that was not allowing him to rush as well as he's doing now. And you know, Andre's been on him about working on different things to get better. You know, they all go down there to pass rush, and you know, as soon as one of them gets done, you know, Janelle will come over or Griff will come over and say, you know, here's what you did, this is what you have to do. But and I do think a lot of that, you know, when you have success and guys see themselves getting better, I think it leads to more of, you know, listening to the coaching and things like that.
Mike, yesterday you kind of joked you wish you just had 2 8-game seasons.
That wasn't a joke.
Has this first half felt more draining to you than usual, or is it just the way it goes?
It probably feels more draining because it's this year. I mean, you know, every year is you know, the NFL season is such a grind because of, you know, you're doing it since July, and you know, you're sitting up there studying tape every single day, and you know, if you get to go home when the sun's out, it's, you know, you feel like a normal person. But you know, it is what it is. I mean,
Mike, you expanded quite a bit yesterday on some of the changes to schemes you've had to make defensively and adjustments and it being a copycat league and things like that. How much of that do you anticipate taking a good hard look at during the bye week here, or what else do you anticipate capturing by your attention?
You know, not too much really that way. I mean, we are self-scouting this a little bit. You know, like I said, some of the areas that we haven't been as good in, but you know, I mean, every Monday we come in, you know, we start on the other team after we're done with all this stuff, and then we'll sit down and we'll look at plays that hurt us, and we'll go back through the season and look at plays that hurt us and kind of see if there's a pattern going on. So, I mean, we're kind of constantly doing that. Same thing offensively. You know, so we can, all right, figure out what we have to change or how we have to adjust the coverage or make different calls or game plan things that, you know, so we don't get hurt. You know, like, for instance, they tried to run 2 of those rollout screens yesterday, you know, and we got hurt with them earlier in the year. I think San Francisco had one, and probably the Rams had one, and there was someone else. And so we've had to make adjustments on how we're playing that. And you know, yesterday was minus, I think they lost yards on both of them.
Was there a point during one of those Monday meetings earlier in the year where you said, all right, something's got to change here? Was there a moment you remember, or was it more of a gradual thing?
It's pretty much every week. I mean, you know, I guess the best way to say it is, you know, when you're watching these other teams, the offenses that you're getting ready to play, and the week before you watch their offense, and the week before that, and they're all attacking with basically the same combination of route combinations and things, and you see it's versus that particular style of coverage. That's when it really shows up, because you see everybody game planning the same coverage every single week. So, you know, that's why we've had to change.
Was there a time that you noticed with a AA teams and offensive lines really treating that like zero pressure, where you're just going to block the first 5? Like, was there a trend or something that kind of kicked that into where teams kind of knew it was coming and maybe how to defend it?
You're talking about a long time ago? Or?
I guess just maybe like the last few years, or because I know what you mentioned yesterday about seeing teams implementing elements of your scheme. Is there a time you, especially with that element of it?
It always starts out slow. Like one of our coverages, when I first went to Dallas, not first, but when I was in Dallas, we had Deion Sanders. Well, I didn't want him playing a certain style of defense, so we were trying to allow him to be man-to-man. And so what we had to do was figure out a way how he could play man-to-man, but we could still get extra guys so kind of play man within the zone kind of combinations. Well, you know, we were pretty good at it. And then, like, next thing I know, I see Philadelphia playing it. They're in our division. They watch us all the time. And so they're playing it. Then next time you see Buffalo, I don't know who it was, but you just see a gradual thing. And, you know, I've had many coaches say, you know, they watch our blitz tape every week to see what we're doing. And so that's kind of how it starts. And then they try to copy it. And quite honestly, I don't think we've run hardly any double-A blitzes this year because everybody's practicing them, so we do something else.
Among the guys that are banged up, who do you think is going to benefit the most for bye?
Probably the guys that missed the game. I think, you know, most of those guys, I'm hopeful that they're all back.
A lot has been made about a lot of the offensive innovation that's like trickled up from college into the NFL. Have you noticed that if defensive innovation has kept pace, have you looked at what college defenses are doing?
Yeah, but it's different. I mean, still the college, I mean, there is a lot of college coming in the NFL, and it's always kind of been like that, but, you know, the rocket sweeps and the zone reads and the RPOs and all that stuff has all been, the difference is that most of those quarterbacks, and I'm not trying to discredit anybody, they can't throw like NFL quarterbacks. You know, the NFL quarterbacks are always the guys that have thrown the best throughout the entire time. So that part is a little bit different defensively. They can get away with a few more things, but everything's cyclical. You know, it's the double A's and, you know, amplitude and, you know, all that stuff. The RPOs, you know, all the things. It all goes around and around, and guys study it and study it and study it, and then they try to figure out ways to stop it. And then once they do, they got to go to something else.
With 9 games in here, you got some momentum going now too. Are you still learning things about what this club can do, or do you?
Yeah.
You are. Right?
Yeah, I think so. It's been a process this year. You know, we've had a new offensive coordinator, new coach. I mean, a new quarterback. You know, we've been missing some guys there. You know, defensively, we didn't start out very well, and so the whole, you know, every year is a new year, but I do feel like we're starting to look a lot more like I kind of expect us to, and I hope that we continue to do that. But yeah, I think it's still a little bit of a learning process.
Time for 2 more.
You're on the same historic third down pace as you were last year. Is there something about the way that your team approaches third downs that you feel might be distinct from other teams around the league?
You know, I don't know what other teams do. I know we spend a lot of time with it. You know, we look at them on Mondays. No, we look at them on Tuesdays as a defensive staff. We used to spend a little bit more time on it now, but since we're giving up a lot of big plays on first and second down, we spend a lot more time doing that on Tuesdays, and then we go back to third downs on Wednesday. You know, I probably look at the third down tape 4 or 5 times during the week, and then, but honestly, it's our players are executing, and that's more than, you know. I mean, we changed some of the calls yesterday that we haven't called at all, but the players, you know, you got to execute anyway. So whatever you do, they have to execute. They've been doing a good job.
With the league flexed this Chicago game tonight, does that matter at all to you?
Not really. I mean, they just tell us when to play, we show up. Try to get a win somehow. Good.